Good morning. You are watching NewsX and I'm Medha Sharan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu as tensions escalated sharply in the Middle East following the killing of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and retaliatory Iranian strikes across the region. The outreach came hours after Prime Minister Modi chaired a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security, India's highest decision-making body on security and strategic affairs. The meeting was held shortly after his return to New Delhi from a two-day tour of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. According to reports, the CCS reviewed the fast-evolving situation following the joint attack on Iran by the United States and Israel and the consequent death of Khamenei. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman attended the meeting along with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and other top officials. The discussions are understood to have focused on the safety of Indian nationals in the Middle East and contingency plans should the conflict intensify further. Nearly 10,000 Indians live in Iran, over 40,000 in Israel and about 9 million across West Asia and the Gulf. Prime Minister Modi also spoke to UAE's president, calling him his brother. Let's in fact take a look at these tweets put out by the Prime Minister. Of course, first here we have Prime Minister Narendra Modi taking to a social media platform X and saying that he had a phone call with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss the current regional situation. He also said that he conveyed India's concerns over recent developments and emphasized the safety of civilians as a priority. India reiterates the need for early cessation of hostilities. So he has said that he spoke to his Israeli counterpart. Remember, India has on multiple occasions called for the cessation of hostilities in West Asia. It has also released advisories advising Indians in Iran, to take shelter and to be safe among this war that is taking place. Additionally, he also spoke to the President of the UAE, which is Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He said that he strongly condemned the attacks on the UAE and condoled the loss of lives in these attacks. He also said that India stands in solidarity with the United Arab Emirates in these difficult times. He also said that he thanked him for taking care of the Indian community living in the United Arab Emirates. We support de-escalation, regional peace, security and stability. So again, Prime Minister Modi also spoke to the President of UAE. Remember that UAE and India do share very strong ties, and it's one of India's key allies in West Asia along with Israel as well as Iran. And now the Prime Minister has said that he spoke to the President and stands in solidarity with the UAE amid these difficult times. And again, once again, reiterating that India supports de-escalation, regional peace, security and stability. Now remember, Delhi has not released any statements on the killing of Iran's supreme leader. However, he has condoled the deaths in the UAE during his conversation with the UAE president. Also, Indian expatriates in UAE account for 35% of the Emirati of UAE's population and forms one of its largest communities there. Remember, 9 million Indians live across West Asia. So this is India's key priority. It would like to see some sort of de-escalation in West Asia at this moment. Joining me on the broadcast is my colleague Aditya Vadhavan for more on this. Aditya, take us through what exactly the Prime Minister spoke during his conversation with his Israeli counterpart as well as the president of UAE.
Definitely, recently, Medha Kushti, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just visited back from the Israel tour, where he, Israel visit, where he met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There were several diplomatic engagements that were lined up between the Indian side and the Israeli side, and definitely, during a phone call conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid emphasis on the fact that, all the conflicts should be solved diplomatically, and backdoor diplomacy channels are an utmost or are of utmost importance at this juncture. Considering the current situation in the West Asia, due to this prolonged conflict between U.S., Israel, and Iran, definitely the oil barrels, the price of oil per barrel is expected to go up. And clearly, when though Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, condemned the Iranian strikes on UAE, at this juncture, it needs to be seen, both Iran and UAE are also strategic, partners and allies of India. But at this juncture, while speaking with the Crown Prince of the head of the UAE, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, shared his attachment with the UAE leader. And definitely, since there is a lot of Indian diaspora in the United Arab Emirates, definitely it needs to be seen how things unfold in this scenario. Medha.
Aditya, I would kindly request you to stay on with me. I'm also being joined by Major General Gigi Dwivedi, who is a defense expert on the broadcast. Thank you so much for being with us, sir, this morning. Sir, now India has come forward, and the Prime Minister has said that he's spoken to his Israeli counterpart as well as the President of the UAE, and has called for cessation of hostilities and would like security and stability in the region. Sir, amid all of this, how should India see this conflict, considering that Iran is also a key ally for India, and we also have Israel, another key ally of India?
Well, you see, in the geopolitics, are today very, very fluid. And this conflict actually has put India on a very tight rope. As you rightly said that while we have a special strategic partnership with Israel, we are part of I2U2. I2U2 is India, Israel, US and UAE. So we have a very close partnership with these. But with Iran, we are not, having such partnership, but we have very good relations with Iran. And especially these relations are time-tested, and also we have historical, lineage with Iran. And we have also invested in Chaba Port, almost $350 million. So the point is, India today is on a very tight rope, because the conflicting parties, we have a special relationship with these countries. So therefore, it is in India's interest that this conflict actually comes to an end, earliest the better, because the Prime Minister was in Israel only last week, and he had very close relationship of the talks with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. And at the same time, there are two very important factors, Megha. One is that we have a huge diaspora in the Middle East, especially the Gulf region. Almost 9 million Indians, NRIs or diaspora are there, and they are dependent on their jobs, employment. Yes, and also in Iran, we have about almost 30,000 Indians. Many of the students are there. So overall, this conflict is not to India's interest, and India always has held a position that every conflict must be resolved through dialogue or through diplomacy. So therefore, all I can say is that India is on a very tight rope. We have good relations with the belligerent or with the conflicting parties, be it US, be it Israel, or other Gulf region countries, and even Iran. So I think it's a very, very tight diplomatic call, but India has taken a very calibrated, considered stand, and that is that this conflict must be resolved through dialogue and diplomacy. and
Yes, sir.
India is willing to contribute to that process. Megha.
Sir, I would kindly request you to please stay on with me. I'm also being joined by Ambassador Sushil Singhal, who's a foreign diplomat on the broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us here this morning. This is day 3 of the war, it seems. Sir, now Prime Minister Modi has reached out to his Israeli counterpart and has also reached out to the president of UAE, both allies of India in the Middle East, and has said, called for cessation of hostilities, has said that, peace and security should come back to the region. Sir, amid this war, how should India position itself, considering that India is also a key, Iran is also one of India's key allies in the region?
Well, India's position has always been that the war is not a solution, as keep repeating, and the peace, as you said rightly, that the peace should come, and that any problem should be resolved through the discussions. That is the India's long held position. And the Prime Minister, when he spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu, at that time also, as reported in the media, he conveyed that they should bring peace and have discussions for all the problems. When he spoke to the UAE leadership, the message was that we are with you, and he thanked them for protecting Indian diaspora, because we have a very large Indian diaspora in UAE working for a long time. So he has expressed his solidarity. As far as the Iran is concerned, India, of course, has a good relationship, civilizational link with Iran. And Iran also, India is saying that discussion is the only solution, not the war. Because what India has to do in this, it's a very difficult situation for India. One has to, like my co-panelist was talking about, that India has to ensure the security of the diaspora, because we have almost 10 million Indians working in different Gulf countries. So we have to protect them, we have to protect their interests, and maybe, if required, then we have to evacuate. Of course, this is a very large number. I don't know how it will be possible. So we need to protect, and we need assistance of all the countries where they're staying. Then second is the energy, because the oil shock is already taking place. Fortunately, if India is in a good position, and unless it gets prolonged and the Strait of Hormuz remain closed for a long time, till then we are fairly safe. And there are other options which I will not talk about at this moment, but
yes,
there are options available to India, because this is a type of oil that is also very important. Type of oil you cannot replace. You cannot just buy crude from anybody. One has to have the capacity also to refine that, and their oils are crude oil have different grade, different types. So knowing that what India's capabilities are, so India has other options also if the situation deteriorates, and I'm so sure the concerned people are looking into that. And India, what we would like to do is that we like to work with everybody around and ensure that that peace return as soon as possible, because Indian interests are affected.
Sir, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I have more breaking updates coming in. I do request you to please stay on with me.